Vega sighed. They never learn, do they? She activated her neural interface. Colonel Jung, they're not stopping. Initiate Phase 3. Throughout the solar system, thousands of previously dormant quantum nodes activated simultaneously. Unlike the earlier deployments, which had targeted specific vessels, this was a system-wide quantum disruption field calibrated specifically to the frequency of Talifar technology. At the edge of the solar system, Grand Marshal Ziv Torin watched in horror as his supposedly undetectable fleet suddenly emerged from phase shift, fully visible and rapidly losing power. Emergency protocols, he bellowed. Retreat beyond the disruption field. But it was too late. Within minutes, 50 more Talifar vessels hung powerless in space, their planet-killing weapons rendered useless by humanity's defensive grid. In the lunar conference room, Vega looked at the stunned alien delegates. Now, shall we discuss those terms again? I believe we mentioned a 50-light-year exclusion zone. 2 days later, the treaty was signed. The Talifar Dominion formally recognized Earth as a sovereign power, agreed to the exclusion zone, and promised technological exchange in non-military areas. In return, humanity agreed to restore power to the Talifar vessels and allow them to depart the solar system. As the alien fleets limped away, Dr. Okafor joined Admiral Vega on the observation deck of the lunar facility. "They'll be back," Okafor said quietly. "Maybe not the Talifar, but others. We've announced our presence rather dramatically." Vega nodded. "I know. But we've also shown that humanity isn't to be underestimated. We took a different path than they expected, and it saved us. The quantum grid worked beyond our expectations," Okafor continued. "But it's just the beginning. The data we gathered from their ships will accelerate our research by decades." "And the galaxy?" Okafor smiled. "It's just become a lot more interesting. We've proven we can defend ourselves, but now we need to decide what kind of galactic neighbor we want to be." As Earth celebrated its unexpected victory, news spread rapidly through interstellar communications channels. The defeat of the mighty Talifar Dominion by a supposedly primitive species sent shockwaves through galactic civilization. Some species saw opportunity, a potential ally with innovative technology. Others perceived threat, a dangerously unpredictable newcomer to the cosmic stage. And a few, more ancient and advanced than either humans or the Talifar, recognized something they hadn't seen in millennia: genuine innovation. In the vast darkness between stars, vessels of designs far beyond human comprehension adjusted their courses. Earth had captured the attention of the galaxy, for better or worse. Humanity had survived its first contact war, not through superior firepower, but through thinking differently. It was a lesson the galaxy wouldn't soon forget, and one that would define humanity's place among the stars for generations to come. When Supreme Commander Vash Terran finally reported the events to the Talifar Emperor, he included one warning that would echo through the halls of power across the galaxy. "Underestimate humans at your peril. They don't play by the rules because they write their own. Just as we anticipate you might have additional fleets positioned beyond our current detection range." The aliens' reaction, a subtle stiffening of their postures, confirmed her suspicion. "Which is why," she continued, "we've been expanding our quantum grid throughout the solar system while we talk. Any additional vessels that enter our space will face the same result as your previous fleets." War Prince Ketverik rose to his full height, his exoskeleton bristling with anger. "This is not diplomacy. This is coercion. This is survival," Vega corrected calmly. "You came to our world with the intention of conquest. We responded by demonstrating that we cannot be conquered. Now we're offering a path forward that doesn't involve further conflict." On the edge of the solar system, cloaked in advanced stealth technology, a third Talifar fleet waited. This one commanded by Grand Marshal Ziv Torin, the highest military authority in the Dominion after the Emperor himself. 50 vessels, each carrying planet-killer weapons capable of rendering Earth uninhabitable within hours. "The diplomatic approach has failed," his intelligence officer reported. Both advance fleets remained disabled. Zivtoran's ancient exoskeleton, marked with the symbols of 1,000 battles, gleamed dully in the command center's light. Activate the phase shift drives. We'll approach using the new stealth technology. These humans cannot disrupt what they cannot detect. Grand Marshal, his science officer interjected hesitantly. Our analysis suggests their quantum technology operates on principles that may not be affected by our phase shifting. The disruption occurs at a fundamental level. I am aware of the risks, Zivtoran interrupted. But the Dominion cannot allow a pre-FTL species to humiliate us before the galaxy. The consequences would be unacceptable. The massive fleet began its silent approach. Their ships partially shifted into an alternate phase state that had, until now, rendered them undetectable to all known sensor technologies. In Earth's command center, however, alarms suddenly blared. Colonel, we're detecting phase distortions at the heliopause, a sensor operator reported, consistent with advanced stealth technology, but leaving quantum traces our new detectors can track. Zhang immediately opened a channel to the lunar facility. Admiral, we have incoming. Big ones. On the moon, Vega received the update through her neural interface without breaking eye contact with the Talithar representatives. It seems we have more visitors approaching, Commander. Would these be under your authority, or perhaps someone higher in your command structure? The aliens exchanged glances again, this time with clear alarm. You can detect phase-shifted vessels, Vash Terran asked, mandibles clicking rapidly. We can detect disturbances in quantum fields caused by phase shifting, Dr. Okafor explained. Another benefit of taking a different technological path than most spacefaring species. Vega leaned forward. I suggest you contact whoever commands that fleet and advise them to halt their approach. Our defensive grid now extends to the heliopause. Any vessels crossing that boundary will be disabled like yours. For a tense moment, it seemed the Talithar might refuse. Then Vash Terran activated his communication device. Grand Marshal, he said, they can detect the phase shift. Their defensive capabilities extend throughout the system. I recommend withdrawal. The response, broadcast through the device for all to hear, was immediate and harsh. Impossible. No pre-FTL civilization could possess such technology. Continue the approach. The humans are bluffing. The same thing we did to the primary fleet, Vega replied. Your ships have been temporarily disabled. No permanent damage, no casualties. We're not interested in destruction, War Prince, only in establishing that Earth is not a viable conquest target. Ketvarek's compound eyes seemed to pulse with anger. The Dominion does not negotiate with. The Dominion has never encountered a species like us, Vega interrupted. Your standard tactics don't apply here. So let me be clear. We can keep disabling your ships indefinitely. We can extend our quantum grid throughout our solar system. We're prepared to defend ourselves for as long as necessary. In the stark silence that followed, humanity's position in the galactic order underwent a profound shift. The Talithar Dominion, conquerors of hundreds of worlds, found themselves utterly powerless against a species they had expected to subjugate with ease. Perhaps, Supreme Commander Vash Terran finally said, his voice subdued, we should discuss those terms again, Admiral. As negotiations began, Earth's defense teams remained vigilant. They had won the first confrontation, but they knew this was only the beginning of humanity's introduction to a much larger, more complex galactic community. What no one, human or Talithar, yet realized was that other species were watching these events with great interest. The defeat of the mighty Dominion fleets would send ripples throughout the galaxy, and Earth's innovative approach to defense would soon attract attention from forces far more advanced than the Talithar. For better or worse, humanity had announced its presence on the galactic stage in spectacular fashion. The final gambit. The negotiations between humanity and the Talithar Dominion stretched into their second day. In a specially prepared chamber at the Lunar Diplomatic Facility, Admiral Vega sat across from Supreme Commander Vash Terran and War Prince Ketvarek. The tension in the room was palpable, despite the breathtaking Earthrise visible through the reinforced viewports. "Your proposals are unacceptable," Ketvarik clicked, his mandibles flaring. "The Dominion cannot agree to a 50-light-year exclusion zone around your system. It would disrupt established trade routes." Vega's expression remained impassive. "Those routes were established through conquered territories. We're simply ensuring that Earth remains outside your sphere of influence. And what prevents us from returning with an even larger fleet once we've analyzed your technology?" Vashtaran asked, his compound eyes gleaming with calculated interest. Dr. Okafor, seated beside Vega, smiled slightly. "Nothing, Commander, except the knowledge that our defensive capabilities are not static. While your ships have been disabled, we've been studying your technology extensively. Your quantum field generators are impressive, but fundamentally vulnerable to our approach." Back on Earth, Colonel Zhang supervised the analysis of the alien vessels from the command center. Holographic schematics of Talifar technology floated in the air as scientists and engineers worked to understand every aspect of their systems. "Colonel," one of the analysts called, "we've detected unusual activity in the disabled fleet. It appears some vessels are attempting to restore power using isolated backup systems." Zhang frowned. "Show me." The display zoomed in on several Talifar ships where faint energy signatures had begun to pulse. "Alert the Admiral," Zhang ordered, "and prepare the secondary disruptors." On the lunar facility, a message flashed across Vega's neural interface. She gave no outward indication of having received it, keeping her attention on the alien delegates. "Perhaps we should discuss technology exchange as part of our agreement," she suggested smoothly. "There might be areas where cooperation benefits both our species." Ketvarik and Vashtaran exchanged a glance that, despite their alien physiology, clearly communicated calculation. "What specific technologies would interest Earth?" Vashtaran asked. As the conversation continued, Vega subtly signaled to Dr. Okafor, who discreetly activated her own neural interface. Throughout the disabled Talifar fleet, secondary quantum disruptors, placed during the initial neutralization but left dormant, activated simultaneously. The faint energy signatures attempting to restore power winked out. In the lunar conference room, both Talifar leaders suddenly stiffened as reports flooded in through their personal communication devices. "Is something wrong, Commander?" Vega asked, her voice carrying just a hint of knowing. Vashtaran's mandibles clicked rapidly in what humans had learned to recognize as frustration. "It seems we underestimated your thoroughness, Admiral." "A common mistake when dealing with humanity," Vega replied. "We anticipated you might have backup systems, but it's all built on the same fundamental principles. They focused on making existing technologies bigger and more powerful, rather than exploring alternative approaches." Vega nodded. "Their mistake. While they were building bigger guns, we were changing the rules of the game." Earth's technological divergence had begun decades ago, following the discovery of quantum entanglement manipulation. Rather than developing conventional space weapons, Earth's scientists had created systems that could create micro-wormholes, teleporting small quantum disruptors directly inside enemy vessels. These devices didn't destroy ships. They simply disabled them by disrupting the quantum fields that powered virtually all advanced technology. "The alien commander is requesting another communication channel," Communications Officer Rodriguez reported. "Put him through," Vega ordered. Vashtaran's holographic image appeared, his posture notably less imposing than during their first exchange. "Admiral Vega, I wish to discuss terms." "I'm listening, Commander." "You've demonstrated unexpected capabilities," the alien leader admitted reluctantly. "The Dominion is prepared to recognize Earth's sovereignty and withdraw from your system, provided you restore power to our vessels." Vega's expression remained neutral. "That's a starting point, Commander, but insufficient. We require more substantial guarantees." Before Vashtaran could respond, Colonel Zhang interrupted urgently. "Admiral, we're detecting new energy signatures at the edge of the solar system. Multiple vessels emerging from FTL, Talifar configuration." Vega's eyes narrowed. Reinforcements. Appears so. 27 vessels, heavily armed. Vash-Turan's mandibles clicked in what might have been satisfaction. It seems the situation has changed, Admiral. The Dominion never leaves its forces unsupported. Interesting timing, Commander, Vega replied coolly. Were these reinforcements already en route, or did you manage to send a distress signal despite our disruption? Details are irrelevant. What matters is that you're now outmatched again. Admiral Vega turned to Dr. Okafor. Range of the reinforcements. Currently at the orbit of Neptune, approximately 4 light hours away. They'll reach Earth in roughly 6 hours at their current acceleration. Vega nodded. Extend the quantum grid to the outer system. Prepare Phase 2 of Chimera Protocol. On the edges of the solar system, the Talathar reinforcement fleet accelerated toward Earth, led by War Prince Ketverik, Vash-Turan's clutch brother and rival. His ship, the Indomitable Purpose, carried experimental weaponry designed specifically for dealing with unusual defensive technologies. Status of the primary fleet, he demanded. His tactical officer consulted the long-range sensors. Still in Earth orbit, War Prince. No movement detected. Communications remained silent. Ketvoruk's inner eyelids flickered thoughtfully. Curious. Prepare the phase disruptors. Whatever technology these humans possess, it won't stand against our latest advancements. War Prince, the sensor operator called suddenly. Detecting unusual energy readings throughout the system, similar to the patterns reported by scout vessels before we lost contact with the primary fleet. Ketvoruk leaped to the sensor console. Evasive maneuvers. Activate the phase shields. But it was already too late. Just as with the primary fleet, small devices materialized throughout the reinforcement vessels, bypassing their conventional shielding entirely. Within moments, 27 more Talathar ships hung powerless in space. On Earth, Admiral Vega watched the holographic display as the second wave of alien ships went dark. Phase 2 successful, Dr. Okafor confirmed. All reinforcement vessels neutralized. Vega turned back to the still active communication with Vash-Turan. You were saying, Commander. For perhaps the first time in Talathar history, a Supreme Commander appeared utterly speechless. How? He finally managed. The reinforcement fleet was equipped with our most advanced shielding technology. Your shields are designed to stop things coming from outside, Colonel Jung explained. Our quantum teleporters place our devices inside your ships, bypassing shields entirely. Dr. Okafor stepped forward. It's a fundamental difference in approach, Commander. You built your technology on principles of force projection. Bigger weapons, stronger shields. We focused on spatial manipulation and precision. The reinforcement fleet is hailing us, Rodriguez reported. Put them through, Vega ordered. Let's get everyone on the same channel. A second Talathar appeared beside Vash-Turan, similar in appearance, but with different markings on his exoskeleton. I am War Prince Ketvoruk of the Talathar Dominion, the newcomer announced, his mandibles clicking rapidly in what humans had come to recognize as agitation. What have you done to our vessels? Laughter, or something approximating it, echoed through the transmission. Your bravery is commendable, if foolish. Allow me to demonstrate our resolve. The transmission cut off. They're powering weapons systems, Zhang reported, his fingers dancing across the neural interface. Targeting major population centers. Low-yield configuration appears to be a show of force rather than an attempt at mass casualties. Vega's expression hardened, just as we expected. Initiate Chimera Protocol. Phase 1. Dr. Okafor nodded and placed her palm on a biometric scanner. Chimera Protocol initiated. Quantum nodes activating. Around the planet, and in near-Earth orbit, hundreds of seemingly innocuous satellites and ground stations hummed to life. They weren't conventional weapons platforms as the aliens might have expected. Instead, each housed a quantum displacement generator, technology that Earth had developed after taking an entirely different path than most spacefaring civilizations. While others had focused on faster ships and stronger weapons, humanity had dedicated its resources to understanding and manipulating the fabric of space-time itself. Aboard the Talithar command ship, alarms suddenly blared. "Supreme Commander," Lath called out, his voice rising in pitch. "We're detecting energy signatures throughout the human defense grid. Thousands of localized disturbances in space-time." Vash-Terran moved quickly to the sensor display. "Impossible. Their technology shouldn't be capable of." He never finished his sentence. Throughout the Talithar fleet, small devices materialized directly inside ship hulls, bypassing shields designed to stop physical projectiles and energy weapons. Each device emitted a precisely calibrated pulse that disrupted the quantum fields powering the alien vessels. Within seconds, over 3,000 warships hung dead in space. On the command ship, emergency lighting cast an eerie glow as systems failed one by one. Vash-Terran stared in disbelief at the blank displays. What happened?" he demanded. No one had an answer. A holographic projection flickered to life, Admiral Vega's image hovering above the alien command deck. "Supreme Commander Vash-Terran," she said, her voice calm but firm. "Your ships have been neutralized by quantum displacement technology. Your weapons, propulsion, and communication systems are offline." "That's impossible," Vash-Terran hissed. "You're a pre-FTL civilization." "A common misconception," Vega replied. "While other species focused on conventional technological paths, we explored the manipulation of space-time itself. We don't need to shoot down your ships when we can simply disable them from within." For the first time in his long military career, Supreme Commander Vash-Terran felt fear coil around his heart. The humans had accomplished in seconds what no other species had managed in centuries of fighting against the Dominion. "What happens now?" he asked, mandibles clicking nervously. Vega's expression remained impassive. "Now we talk about the future, one where the Talithar Dominion recognizes Earth as a sovereign power, not a conquest target." As 3,000 dead warships drifted in Earth orbit, humanity's message to the galaxy was clear: underestimate us at your peril. Technological asymmetry. Supreme Commander Vash-Terran paced the command deck of his powerless flagship, the ornate markings on his exoskeleton seeming dull under the emergency lighting. 3 hours had passed since the humans had disabled his entire fleet with technology that, by all understanding of galactic development, they shouldn't possess. "Status report," he demanded of his engineering chief. The engineer's mandibles clicked anxiously. "We've restored minimal life support and internal communications, Supreme Commander, but weapons, propulsion, and external communications remain offline. Whatever the humans used, it fundamentally disrupted our quantum field generators." Vash-Terran suppressed a chittering growl. The Talithar Dominion had conquered hundreds of worlds by following a simple strategy: identify pre-FTL civilizations, arrive with overwhelming force, demonstrate superior technology, and accept their surrender. It had never failed, until now. And the rest of the fleet? Similar conditions reported across all vessels. We're effectively stranded. On Earth, the mood in the Interstellar Defense Command Center was cautiously triumphant. Admiral Vega studied the holographic display showing the disabled alien armada. "Dr. Okafor, what's the status of the quantum disruptors?" she asked. Amara Okafor consulted her neural interface, all functioning within parameters. "Admiral, the disruption field will hold as long as necessary." Colonel Zhang approached with a data tablet. "Admiral, we've completed preliminary analysis of their ship designs. Their technology is impressive. Fusion drives, energy weapons capable of planetary bombardment, FTL capabilities, first contact fallout." The Interstellar Defense Command Center beneath Mount Cheyenne hummed with activity. Admiral Eleanor Vega stood before the massive holographic display, her weathered face illuminated by the pulsing red dots representing the incoming alien fleet. "Time to intercept," she asked, voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. Colonel Wei Zong consulted his neural interface. 6 hours, 17 minutes until they reach lunar orbit, Admiral. Vega nodded. Humanity had been preparing for this day for decades, ever since the Proxima Centauri signals had been decoded. The message had been clear. They were not alone, and not everyone out there was friendly. Status of Chimera Protocol, she asked. Dr. Amara Okafor, head of the Quantum Defense Division, stepped forward. All systems green, Admiral. The orbital platforms show 98% operational capacity. Ground-based launchers are at 100%. The subspace disruptors are fully charged. The alien fleet, the Talithar Dominion, according to intelligence, numbered over 3,000 vessels of various configurations. Their technology, based on the long-range scans, suggested a civilization perhaps 2 centuries ahead of Earth in conventional terms. What they didn't know was that humanity had taken an entirely different technological path. Open all command channels, Vega ordered. I want every defense zone coordinator on the line. Screens flickered to life around the circular command center, showing faces of military leaders from every major power on Earth. The old national rivalries had dissolved quickly when the truth of the alien threat had become apparent 15 years ago. The Talithar fleet will be in range in 6 hours, Vega announced. All evidence suggests they intend to subjugate, not communicate. We'll follow first contact protocols, but I want every system at combat readiness. On the primary vessel of the Talithar fleet, Supreme Commander Krell Vash-Terran strode across the command deck, his 4 arms clasped behind his back, in what his species considered a gesture of absolute confidence. His exoskeleton gleamed under the ship's lights, the ceremonial markings of 100 conquered worlds etched into its surface. Status of the human defenses, he demanded of his second-in-command. Sub-Commander Lath bowed slightly. Primitive, Supreme Commander. Their orbital infrastructure is minimal. Communication satellites, a small habitat station, and what appear to be rudimentary weapons platforms. Ground-based defense capabilities appear limited to chemical propellant missiles and electromagnetic projectile weapons. Vash-Terran's mandibles clicked in amusement. As expected, they only achieved spaceflight within the last century. Prepare the subjugation broadcast. Standard terms: immediate disarmament, transfer of all resources and technological data, population registration for labor allocation. There is one anomaly. Supreme Commander, Lath added hesitantly. Our sensors detect unusual energy signatures from several points on the planet's surface and in near orbit. The patterns don't match any known technology in our database. The Supreme Commander dismissed the concern with a flick of his primary arm. Irrelevant. Likely experimental power generation or failed weapon systems. The humans are practically infants compared to the Dominion. 5 hours later, the Talithar fleet entered high Earth orbit, arranging themselves in the traditional Dominion conquest formation, a 3-dimensional spear pointed at the heart of the planet. They're broadcasting, Admiral, Communications Officer Rodriguez reported. Put it through, Vega ordered. A holographic image materialized in the center of the command room, a towering insectoid being with 4 arms and an ornately decorated exoskeleton. When it spoke, the translation matrix converted the clicking, chittering sounds into English. Inhabitants of Earth, I am Supreme Commander Vash-Terran of the Talithar Dominion. Your world is now under our protection. Disable your weapons, surrender your military forces, and prepare for integration into the Dominion. Resistance will result in substantial population reduction. You have 30 of your minutes to comply. Vega stepped forward. This is Admiral Eleanor Vega of Earth Unified Defense. You have entered restricted space without authorization. We request that you withdraw your forces immediately and establish diplomatic channels for future communication. The alien commander's compound eyes seemed to shimmer with amusement. Admiral Vega, perhaps you misunderstand your position. The Talithar Dominion has conquered 317 worlds. Your civilization has barely left its atmosphere. I offer terms out of mercy, not necessity. We decline your offer, Vega replied calmly. You have 15 minutes to withdraw beyond lunar orbit.